Music theory boils down to just two big things: counting and definitions, with a really big emphasis on counting. If you can count, as far as number 13, if you can count, you can master music theory. It really is that simple, and I'll show you how. What's up, friend? My name is Matthew Dale. I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more, and we're going to talk about music theory today, specifically the number one mistake that is really easy to make when approaching music theory. That number one mistake is not utilizing the major scale enough when we're trying to learn all of the other musical concepts. Let's dive in, and I'll tell you what I mean. So this is my essential music theory cheat sheet that I have called up. You can find this over at matthewdale.com/theory or following the link in the description box below. This is a really great guide for doing this. I go over pretty much every single music theory concept in this one free downloadable cheat sheet. Pick it up for yourself. It'll only help you to make sense out of the world of music theory. I'm going to stick mostly to the major scale page here for today, and we'll talk about the utility of the major scale. So let's get a couple things taken care of right away. I'm going to keep things in C. C is a lot easier to keep track of, so I'm mostly just going to be using C today, although towards the end of the video, I'll show you the application that this has for everything else. And we're going to start and kind of build our way up through most music theory concepts here in this brief video. So the key is C, all natural notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you're playing guitar, you might also want to just practice this on one string. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, B, C. And it's a really good idea to practice your major scales just on one string because it gives us a really good frame of reference to approach all of the scale shapes we might learn, like something like that. Practicing scales on one string at a time gives more clarity to why shapes look the way that they do. So it's a really good idea. So now we're going to substitute numbers in for the notes, because the major scale is a system of small intervals to build upon just one note at a time. That's how we get different keys. Right now, again, we're keeping it to C. So what does that look like? What does the major scale system look like? It's up here, further up in my cheat sheet: whole step, half step, whole step, half step. You put that anywhere and you apply that formula, you get a major scale out of it. If I keep it on C, we can see how this pattern emerges. So we have C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, remember that, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, and B to C is a half step. So we have a half step between E and F and B and C. Again, be aware of that. That's going to make things easier in the future as well. Once I do that, I want to start putting numbers onto it. I want to count my way through the scale. 1 is the root note. I'm going to start that on C. 1, 2, 3, half step to 4. 5, 6, 7, half step to 1. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 7. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6, 5, 7, 1. 6, 1. You can do little games like that to kind of pound it into your head, but you want to count your way. Again, music theory is mostly counting. Count your way through the scale like that. Once we kind of get the numbers under control, now we have a really good understanding of intervals built in. Let me explain. We're playing the major scale. The major scale has major intervals and perfect intervals on a couple of specific intervals, namely fourths and fifths. So what do I mean? Okay, well, what's the distance from C to D? What do we actually call that musically? What's the musical interval C to D? It's in the major scale, so it must be a major second, okay? So C to D is a major second. C to E is a major third. C to F is a perfect fourth. C to G is a perfect fifth. C to A is a major 6th. C to B is a major 7th. And then we're back to our octave. So the major scale has major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, and major 7th. That's pretty easy to remember, right? We're not doing the whole thing of, well, let me count how many half steps, and I have to remember how many half steps is in a major 6th, but even I don't remember how many half steps are in a major 6th. But I know what all my major 6s are, because I'm really good at knowing my major scales. This is kind of like my overall arching concept when it comes to approaching music theory. Memorize less, understand more. We're using logic to kind of fill in the blanks and build our own knowledge of music theory. So that's all fine and good, but what about other intervals, like a minor 3rd? That's kind of an important one. Minor 6th, minor 7th, all these other intervals. Well, minor is going to make our major intervals smaller. And then we also have diminished intervals, namely a diminished 5th, that's going to make our 5th smaller, and an augmented 4th that's going to make our 4th bigger. So augment, bigger, diminish, make smaller, minor, make smaller. Let's actually put that into practice. Again, follow me along on the key of C here on the chart. So C to E is a major 3rd. It comes from our major scale. A minor 3rd, if we make that 3rd smaller, means we have to move E to E flat. E to E flat is our minor 3rd. What's the interval from C to A? It's a major 6th from the major scale. So C to A flat must be a minor 6th. C to B is a major 7th. C to B flat is a minor 7th. Are you kind of tracking with me there? It really is that simple. Major from the major scale. Minor, take it down a half step. Let's do 4ths. So C to F is a perfect 4th. Let's make it bigger. Augmented 4th. C to F sharp. We made that distance from C to F bigger, and we augmented that 4th. Let's do the same thing with the 5th. C to G, diminished to G flat. It's the same note as F sharp. And usually on 5ths, we can also go the other way. We can augment them as well. So C to G sharp, which is also the same interval of C to A flat. So there is some cross between there, but if you're keeping this same logic of counting going, you won't be confused. At this point, you're probably asking me, okay, well, like, what's the big deal? Why do I need to know intervals? Why is this important? Intervals are kind of like the big building blocks of all of our other concepts. If you know how to accurately label notes with intervals, everything else makes sense, like triads. Let's talk about triads. Again, this is the whole concept of music theory is counting and definitions. Triad is just telling you something. It's a definition. What is a triad? A triad is 1, 3, and 5. That's how we construct a triad. And that first triad is, again, from the major scale, so it's going to make a major triad. So triad 1, 3, 5, what's 1, 3, and 5 if we look at it on the chart here on C? C is 1, E is 3, G is 5. It's also right in my C chord here, right? That's a major triad. If I scroll down a little bit more in my music theory cheat sheet here, I do an explanation of triads. Here's our major, 1, 3, and 5. I'll highlight it here. And then I have all of our other definitions of triads. Minor is 1, flat 3, 5. Augmented, 1, 3, sharp 5. And diminished, 1, flat 3, flat 5. So what would these be if, again, we're comparing everything to C? So C major, triad, C, E, G. C minor triad, 1, flat 3, 5. C, E flat, G. C diminished triad, C, E flat, G flat. And C augmented triad, C, E, G sharp, 1, 3, sharp 5. Again, when we just look at the counting from the major scale, those seemingly confusing things, 1 flat 3 flat 5, becomes really easy. Just bring 3 from the major scale down and just bring 5 from the major scale down. It really is that simple. What about 7 chords? It's just as simple, we're just including more notes with it. So a 7 chord by definition, and this is a little bit confusing, but a 7 chord is 4 notes. 1, 3, 5, and 7. That's why they call it a 7 chord, because it includes the 7th, okay? So it's not like 7 notes in a chord. 1, 3, 5, and 7. Well, what's the first 7 chord that exists from the major scale? Can you guess it? It's a major 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. If I stack it up, it sounds like that. It's a really pretty chord. And again, I'll scroll down here on my Essential Music Theory cheat sheet to 7 chords. Here's all of our definitions. I'm just going to go through a couple of them, but here's all of our definitions again of our 7 chords. So back up to just our scales. Here's the key of C. C major 7 from the major scale is 1, 3, 5, 7, or C, E, G, and B. You stack those up, you get a major 7 chord. What's a dominant 7? Definition of dominant 7 is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. C, E, G, B flat. If I stack it up, bad guitar chord shape, but you can play it. C, E, G, B flat. What's a minor 7 chord? By definition, a minor 7 is 1, flat 3, 5, and flat 7. C, E flat, G, B flat. If I stack it up and play it, we get this. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. Last one I'll do for 7 chords is a minor 7 flat 5. Now, after this point, after we kind of get our basic chords under control, chords just start telling us what's in it. So if we are already kind of assuming that we already know the counting or the definition of major 7, minor 7, and 7, dominant 7, or just 7, chord symbols are just going to tell us what's in them. So minor 7 flat 5 is exactly what it sounds like. It's a minor 7 chord with a flat 5. Let me do minor 7 first. C, E, G, and then B flat. 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. And now let me flat 5. 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. C, minor 7, flat 5. What about something that's even a little bit more challenging? A dominant 7 sharp 5 or C7 sharp 5. Let's still apply the same counting. Its starting life is a 7 chord, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and the chord symbol is telling me to sharp 5. So C, E, G sharp, B flat. It's also a really good chord to resolve to an F minor or an F minor 9 in that case. Scales work the same way. So I'll just go through a couple of modes here just so you kind of get the idea. But again, what is the definition of the scale? We already know the major scale. We've been talking about that for a while. What about something like the Mixolydian scale? Okay, Mixolydian by definition is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. That's Mixolydian. That's all Mixolydian means. We don't need to go through the whole process of, okay, well, it's the 5th mode, so if I'm trying to play C Mixolydian, I need to find which scale has C in the 5th position. That's where modes come from. That's not what the mode is. The mode, Mixolydian, is simply a major scale with flat 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. What about Lydian? Our other major mode. It's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, which is F sharp in this case, and then keep going, F sharp, G, A, B, and then back to C. Scales are just as easy as 7 chords and triads and intervals. So let me just scroll up and let's take a look at applying this to other keys, to other root notes. Let's do D for right now, and let's build a D major triad first. So again, it's just coming from the same major scale. So D, the 3rd F sharp, and then the 5th A. There's a D major triad. What about a D minor triad? 1 flat 3, 5, so D, F, A. What about a D major 7 sharp 5? So D major 7, that part starts from the major scale, D, F sharp, A, C sharp, but now I need sharp 5 in there. So D, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. A little bit of a crunchy example, but again, I want to show you just how easy even these complicated chords can be. Let's do the key of E now, and let's do some scales. So E major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on E major is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and D sharp. What about the E minor scale? Minor is another definition. What does minor mean? Flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. That's what minor means. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, back to 1. That's the natural minor scale. What are the notes there? Again, if I just look at my sheet here, let's go ahead and go through it. E, 2 is F sharp. G sharp is ordinarily 3, but I need flat 3, so G natural. E, F sharp, G, A, B, flat 6 is going to be C natural, and then flat 7 is going to be D natural, and then back to E. What about E Dorian? This is another minor-ish scale. The Dorian scale, or the Dorian mode, is flat 3 and flat 7, so we have a natural 6 in there. Same thing on E, this time E Dorian. E, F sharp, G natural, flat 3, A, B, C sharp, I keep 6, D natural, flat 7. If you're a fan of The Legend of Zelda, uses the Dorian mode there. So I hope that really simplifies the concept of music theory for you. If you know your major scales, if you can count, it really is that easy. Then you just have to worry about knowing the definitions. Luckily, I have all of those definitions for you in the Essential Music Theory cheat sheet. You can download that again by going to matthewdale.com/theory or following the link in the description box below. I hope this was enjoyable and you got something out of it. Let me know. Drop me a comment in the space below. My name is Matthew Dale. I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more, and I'll see you next time.